so that was part of his disappointment. She looked a bit crestfallen herself. Most people probably showed a great deal more interest when she mentioned what she did for a living. "We're in our 3rd season. You've never seen Tying the Knot?" "I'm afraid not." He'd never been interested in reality TV, other than Survivor. He made an exception for that show because it was freaking amazing, and maybe Naked and Afraid. He considered the dating ones, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, and all the others, to be for women. She adjusted the straw on the Moscow Mule he'd bought her. "You should give it a try, see what you think." He doubted it would be anything he'd enjoy, but he liked talking to her and was hoping to get her to go out with him, even if it meant he had to drive 6 or 7 hours to LA. "What's the show about, exactly?" "It's a study of first impressions, whether human beings can choose a mate based on looks and instant chemistry, or if they need time to get to know each other in order to have a successful relationship." "Oh, it's like that show my sister-in-law was talking about the other night." He cast about in his mind for the name. "What's it called, the one where they meet at their own wedding?" "Married at First Sight? Not really," she said with a shake of her head. "On my show, you'd get to choose your bride." He finished his beer and signaled for the bartender to bring him another. "How does it work?" "Our contestants take a battery of personality tests. Then they're sent on 3 dates, each with a different woman." She selected a peanut out of the bowl in front of them. "All of whom have been vetted and handpicked by psychologists as being compatible. And then they get to choose one of the 3. To continue dating? To marry." Of course, he knew there'd be a catch. The show had to have a shocking premise. That was what gave it word of mouth, made it worth tuning in. "Sounds like whoever does this is asking for trouble." Her eyes widened at his response. "Not really. If the marriage doesn't work out, they can always have it annulled," she said, as if it was no big deal. "It's not that different from dating in the real world. There are connections and breakups. Some relationships work and others don't." If it was that similar to real life, they wouldn't be making a show out of it, but he didn't say so. "The women don't get to choose?" he grinned. "Isn't that a little misogynistic?" She arched her eyebrows. "The men chose in season 1, the women chose in season 2. So, it was the men's turn. He rubbed the beard growth on his chin. He wanted to find a good woman with whom he could start a family. He'd wanted that for a long time, and yet here he was, staring down his 40th birthday, and he hadn't yet found love. He was beginning to worry he'd be single for the rest of his life, which was why, for a brief moment, a small part of him was tempted to try something this unconventional. At least it would put him in close proximity to Winnie, whom he considered the real prize. He didn't want to spend the rest of his life alone. But with all the posturing and deceit on those matchmaking sites, online dating was already out of his comfort zone. Why would he take an even bigger risk? "Meeting someone on the internet is about as wild as I get." "You've tried that, then?" "I have, here and there." He'd pulled down his profile probably 4 years ago, after one of the women he'd met began to stalk him, so it had been some time. She popped another peanut into her mouth. "And how has that worked out for you?" He gave her a dirty look. "It hasn't, but there's no guarantee this would either." There had to be a lot of heartache involved in something like this. Embarrassment, too, since so much of what happened would be made public. He wasn't one to seek the limelight, even if he could leave Whiskey Creek for as long as it would take to shoot the various episodes, which he couldn't. "Would my odds be any better going onto a reality TV show?" he challenged. "Maybe. We have 3 couples from seasons 1 and 2 who are still married," she said proudly. "I plan to incorporate them, in a small way, in this year's show." He straightened. 3 out of how many? 8? Nearly 50% wasn't bad. "I'm shocked to hear the success ratio is that high." "We do a lot of testing before we even get started," she said, with a measure of satisfaction. "We want people to be happy." He began to peel the label on his locally brewed IPA.